So that's the way we lay this whole thing out. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but on-site contractor can do exterior. So I get like one guy who is like my general carpenter, and that guy or woman is going to do all this work right here. Right? This is all like general carpentry work. They can do all these things. They can even do some of these specialty things. But for the most part, if an ideal project would have all these people in it, doing work, one crew doing most of this work, and then I'd be hiring out these specialty people that usually not these general contractors or general like carpenters can't quite do, like plumbing, electric, and all that. And I like hiring this out because these are the areas of your home that you want done correctly. These are areas of your home where you can spend a lot of money too. You get some real stupid prices on some of this stuff. I've seen it. So we'll start with plumbing. I think plumbing's a really big one. I'm going to give you some ranges because plumbing's pretty tough. If you got a house that's newer, your plumbing's not much, right? You're going to really be talking about just hooking up some new sinks and vanities and toilets, and that's not very expensive. Maybe 500, 1,000 bucks to do something like that. But normally what we see on average is we're moving a wall, we're redoing a kitchen. If we move a kitchen, if we need to update some of the plumbing, I generally try not to like rip out all the plumbing. It's pretty rare that you'll see me say, hey, I had to get rid of like all the plumbing in the house. I try to save anything if I can. The only time is when you hit like galvanize and it's just not working. It doesn't have good water pressure. That's when you might end up replacing all of it. And honestly, if you're abundant on your acquisition systems and your lead conversion system, you could pass on houses like that. Any house that requires you to gut and do everything new, you probably just want to pass on it. I mean, it's my advice to you. I don't do it very often. Most houses I'm buying, I'm looking and seeing, okay, plumbing's here. Now I might need to move the kitchen. I might need to update this thing, put a new water heater in. But for the most part, I'm not gutting the whole house of the plumbing. I'm just repairing a couple areas instead of gutting the whole house. So always trying to like save stuff is a big place. It's a big part of getting your plumbing price cheap. Anyone that comes to me like, hey, I can't get a plumber to do anything for under like 9,000 or 8,000, it's usually because one plumber told them they had to do the whole house. So now they go tell all the plumbers like how much to do the whole house, and everyone's like, yeah, 8 to 9 grand. But the reality is no one has stepped up and said, hey, you don't really need to do the whole house. Like, you could just keep like all this is acceptable. Same thing with electricians, by the way, but we'll talk about that next. So the walk through it, labor to rough a house in for one of my standard renovations without rewiring the whole, re-plumbing the whole house, just adding a bath. I'm going to give you a price on adding a bath and replacing like the tub and getting it all prepped and ready for the other existing bath. And then finishing the plumbing, later on once they have to come back and hook up all the appliances and put in the sink faucets and all that. So labor cost for that runs me about $2,000 to $3,500. In that $2,000 to $3,500, I require that they provide material. The material they're providing, however, is just like pipes, fitting, stuff like that. I'm providing all the fixtures. So you'll see in here, I have labor as 3,000, but I got 750 for the fixtures. So fixtures are going to be the toilets, the vanity faucets, the sink faucet, the shower diverters and faucets, right? That's the stuff I buy myself, and you can get those pretty cheap from like Amazon, Home Depot. They're pretty. These are awesome shopping things, so you can definitely save some money on it. So owner provides faucets. This is a saving as much plumbing as possible. Owner's cost for materials $800 to $1,000. Another upgrade would be like you have a water heater. It's going to be $400 for the water heater and about $200 for the labor, so like $600 for a water heater installed. We want to start going and even detailing this out even more. Right. But what we don't want to do is take and just say, okay, a bathroom's this. Like you want to have each line item broke down so you can get a detailed understanding. The thing is your contractor is not going to always have this detailed understanding because for the most part, they don't want to invest that much time. So what you could really do to save them a lot of headache and for you and that contractor get on the same page is you take the time to bust this stuff out and do it. And once you get good at it, I can walk in 15 minutes and break this down because I have a feel for what things cost. And that's what you do. And it only takes a few houses, by the way. If you're paying attention, you're line item down a couple houses, you'll have this down like pack. So plumbing has some variations. I did put in there that obviously if you're going to replumb a whole house, then you're probably looking somewhere between like $5,000 to $7,000 if you were have to start like completely from the ground up and you were just doing all new plumbing, adding 3 baths. I mean, that's going to be a little more expensive, but most of the time I'm paying somewhere between like $2,000 to $3,500. If I start getting like 4,000 or 5,000, that means like, okay, there's like a lot of things wrong. I mean, there's like a bunch of stuff being done, or they want too much. But that doesn't mean I don't get a ton of people that try to tell me it's 7 or 8 grand for the same thing I normally pay. I had actually Rashad's job. We got a price for 7,800, and the guy's like, "Look, that's cheap, man. Everyone's going to charge you 12." And I'm like, "Well, people don't charge me 12 on this." And he's like, "Well, you probably have drug addicts doing it." And I'm like, "I don't have drug addicts doing it. No, I actually have a guy who is got 300-400K in the bank because he's making like 200-300K a year with me doing my plumbing, and he's got a ton of money. He's actually doing rehabs now, and he was a private lender for a while to one of my." To my stepfather who was doing some rehabs. So yeah, there one guy's figured out how to make a ton of money, and he came into that same house where the guy was 7,800, and he told me to do it for 3,300. So like, there you go, right? I mean, you can't always you got to take some of this with a grain of salt, because I think it's not everyone knows how to do their business cheaply. So we have to find that. So plumbing, any questions on plumbing, Gerhard? And
Do you have some of those pricing that you normally do, like like a tub convert? What's the standard things? Convert a tub, add a tub, or add a shower.
So adding a tub or a shower is usually a few $100. I mean, I kind of, it's all going in it, but if somebody has to install a tub, it doesn't take them very long to install a tub. So usually anywhere from like 150 to $300 ballpark for each tub. Because it only takes like an hour or two to install a tub, if that. It's not very much. Same thing, installing a shower pan is like an hour or two. It's not a lot of work. You can always kind of break things back down to like, how long does it take a plumber to do it? And funny enough, if you ask the plumber, if you don't frame it in a way like, well, how much do you charge and how long does it take? You just say, hey, how long would it take you to install a tub? They're going to tell you if you ask them that beforehand. They're like, oh, I can do that in like 2 or 3 hours. It don't take long, right? Well, now you can make sure that pricing makes some sense. They're like, okay, it'd be 1,400 to install a tub. You're like, well, why? It's like a couple hours work, right? I mean, and then the tub we buy is like $100, Home Depot. And I'm going to show you a couple of things we buy pretty cheap. And Amazon Prime is a good place to buy these things, like your diverters and all that, and your faucets. You can get them pretty cheap on there. So I used to pay, it's $135 for that tub. That's a standard tub, 135. I mean, there's no difference between that one and this one. This is one of those areas where you pay more and you don't really get more. So if you throw that tub in with nice custom tile and all that, I put that in every quality renovation. If I'm in a really higher end renovation, I would put this in the secondary baths, and I might do like a jacuzzi tub, something nice. And Home Depot and Lowe's has like something like a tub like that right there. See that jacuzzi? You can get that for like $5.99 in Home Depot if you wanted something like that. I wouldn't usually feel like you need that, but if you were going to do it like only in the master, and then put the low hot tub in all the rest of the bathrooms, because people don't care, honestly. And the shower pan's like the same price. You can get a shower pan for cheap. I think it's roughly about $100 some, right? I mean, the shower pan is going to be like $110, $100 for 3x4 shower pan. So these aren't going to cost you a lot, but again, be careful, because there's a lot of things that look just the same and they cost triple or double. So just make sure you're using the cheapest one. You always want to make sure, like these two, like, yeah, it's a special buy. Look at 1 star, like 1 star because I paid double. Somebody's unhappy, but they got 1 star rating. This has a 4-star rating. Like, I'm going with the 4-star rating, right? I mean, this is the value play, by the way. So, I mean, that's a nicer looking one. I don't even know what the heck that is, but that's kind of cool. That's if you're going crazy right there. I don't even know what the heck that is. That's got LED lights in it. I mean, that just looks a little over the top to you. I don't know if I'd mess with that. So you can see these are like $100. These are expensive. I wouldn't like this one right here for 36 though. That's affordable. That's totally fine for all your bathrooms, by the way, to use something like this. I mean, $36, you'd have no issue. If you want to go nicer, you can do this for like $39. Just make sure the thing you're buying has 1 hole. Most vanities have 3 holes, so this won't work for that. I think I bought this and found that out, by the way. So same thing with this one. Check this out for $33. Like, that's a cool looking faucet for $33. I mean, it's things like that'll make your house. Like, if you were going higher end, this $65 faucet right here looks like something you'd pay about $150 for at Home Depot. So that's a good one. 59, we just seen that for 30 something, so I'm not buying that one. And you can see, like, I don't know, there's not a big difference between these really expensive ones and the ones we just seen for like 40, $50. Now this one right here for 64, that's a very high end looking faucet for $64. Now, if you want to buy that, I might put that in the master and then put the $36 ones in your secondary baths, like, your first floor basement bath, because they don't really care as much. But maybe on the master, you just want to have like a little upgraded experience. Buy 2 of these, right? So these are really cheap. I mean, I can tell you at Home Depot, something like that's $100+ bucks. So you're literally getting it like half the price on here. So same thing with shower faucets. I mean, this is a very nice looking one for $100, $117. I normally am going to spend no more than like 100, but like if I was trying to upgrade to master and you put that in, that's high end looking for $117. That's going to cost you about 200 to 250 at Home Depot, and it's on Prime, so you have it in 2 days. However, I'm always looking for the cheapest one. There is one I get at Home Depot. Look at this one right here. If you go on 200, I mean that would be just for a master, but that's a very big sizzle feature if you want to really make like a master suite look awesome. And you got like maybe that jacuzzi tub or something, or you got a stand up shower. I mean, they're the kind of things you can do that'll really, really take it to the next level. I don't see anything cheap yet. I guess this would be cheap right here, 55 bucks, but I'm getting that at Home Depot for about 55 bucks. So that one's not, I'm getting it for about that price there through the bid room. Here's one for 41, but that's kind of cheap looking. Like that's starting to look like 41 bucks. So I mean, even like this has a bigger shower head. 70 bucks is cheap. I like this one for 117. I think that's kind of, here we go. Here's like a shower only. It doesn't look like it has a tub. I mean, so you can do some shopping. There's good deals in here. There used to be a little thing oh yeah, there used to be like a price thing. Oh, here you go.
Do you
Yeah,
do
yeah.
something in the bathroom, something different just to try and just be a little different, like put in like a Bluetooth fan or
I mean, I don't, and I've not found it necessary. But if you were going to do something a little nicer, I would probably just recommend maybe upgrading your shower head so that you give it and maybe throwing, something like that in because that's cheaper. But if you want to, you can. I don't really know like a Bluetooth fan. I think if you were going to do anything to upgrade like Bluetooth or smart stuff, I would probably do like the Nest thermostat for 200 bucks because the Nest thermostat actually brings a lot of value. People are going to think it's cool. It saves them money on their energy. So, I mean, it kind of looks super like high tech when they see it in the living room. So maybe something like that would be best. But it's also finding like, just going through. So, yeah, I don't want to be too long on plumbing, but you guys get you can shop, right? And if you want to do something like that, fine. I just wouldn't don't go too crazy with it. It's always about knowing your clientele, whether it's expected or not. If you see that like you're in a slower selling market, then throwing a few things like that can make the difference. Then just put it in your budget, right? Throw an extra $1,000 in your budget to get like a couple sizzle features, right? Some of those SWOMO features we call them, things that'll make your house sell faster and get multiple offers. I would be smart about what they are though, because I have to tell you some things people just walk by, I wouldn't even pay attention. You did it. Right.
Mhm.
So they tend to pay better attention to vanities. Like if you went and got a nicer vanity, yesterday we talked about vanities and like the nicer looking vanities, picking like awesome looking stuff. Because there's a lot of nice looking vanities for like 300 bucks. And for 300, you can get ones that look like they go in a rental. So the key is picking the ones that are really nice because vanities are what makes a bathroom look nice. And then the tile work and the fixtures. So ultimately, I don't go too crazy above and beyond that. Like I don't want to get too wild with it. If you are, just pick 2 to 3 things, but make sure you're getting the biggest bang for the buck.